Buenos días y buen bonitos de todos. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a community dedicated to providing spiritual tools for living a happy and full life. My name is Karina Scheer, and I am the spiritual director and founding minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living Puerto Vallarta. If you would like to join us for the live Zoom meeting, please contact me for the link and the password or check our website, www.cslpv.org, and you'll find the link under the weekly talk section. So today is Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Happy National Flag of Canada Day, which was celebrated yesterday, and Family Day, which will be celebrated tomorrow. Our annual theme we are continuing is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And the theme for this month has been Rising Higher, Growing Deeper is the annual theme. And the monthly theme is Radical Interconnection. The topic for today is Ripples, the Art of Mindful Living. So at this time, I'd like to once again truly welcome everyone, including those that are new to our teaching and to our center here in Puerto Vallarta, whether you're here on the live Zoom call or watching a replay at a later time. Here we teach a philosophy that honors all faith traditions. So whatever path you are on, know that it is the right one for you. And no matter what your background is, please know that everyone is welcome and valued here. We teach a philosophy called the Science of Mind, which is a teaching based on new thought and ancient wisdom. And we offer spiritual tools and principles to promote personal growth. And as I mentioned, we offer diversity in all aspects so that we can honor and appreciate each and every one of us. When Dr. Ernest Holmes founded this teaching in the 1920s, he had studied both Eastern and Western spiritual texts in order to create the science of mind. When asked to provide a concise definition of the teaching, he had replied, "It is a correlation of laws of science, opinions of philosophy, and revelations of religion applied to human needs and aspirations." So each week we offer an inspirational message, and we do this by Zoom on Sundays at 10 a.m. And we will be resuming our Sunday meetings in person at noon at Cafe La Ventana. So we will be meeting on the first and the third Sunday, so that's today, until it gets too hot and too humid, and then we'll reevaluate um, our in-person meetings. So after each service, whether it's online or in person, hang out with us afterwards and enjoy some coffee and some great conversation with like-minded people. As we do each week, let's now review our purpose, vision, and mission statements. We have a grand purpose here each week, and that is to awaken and celebrate diversity and to love and serve our community. We do this by means of our vision, creating the life you desire, which is supported by our mission to provide spiritual tools for personal growth and transformation. And more on all of these can be found on our website under its own drop-down title. So today, we are discussing mindful living. And mindful living is about being fully present and engaged in the moment, aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your surroundings without any judgment. It involves consciously making choices that align with your values and well-being rather than just living on autopilot. Ernest Holmes wrote this: "Know that you believe, state what you believe, affirm that you believe, and deny everything which contradicts true belief." So the science of mind teaches that our thoughts create our reality. What we pay attention to is what is real to us. In psychology, this is called biased attention, a type of confirmation bias where the selectively focus that we have on information that confirms our views while still ignoring or discounting data that doesn't align with us. So this in turn influences how we relate to others and to ourselves. It can seem daunting to uncover these hidden beliefs or biases because we are the sum of everything we have ever thought, believed, and done, plus all the influence from outside sources all around us. While you can't change the outside world, you can change your perspectives or your perception, what's inside. Change is possible. As Ernest Holmes reminds us, we exist in limitless opportunities, which are forever seeking expressions through us. Destroy the thought that would place limitation or bondage upon any situation or condition. Talk to yourself, not to the world. There is no one to talk to but yourself of all experiences, for all experiences take place within. Conditions are the reflections of our meditations and nothing else. There is but one mind. That mind is our mind now. It never thinks confusion, knows what it wishes, and how to accomplish what it desires. It is what it desires. And that's a quote from the Science of Mind textbook. And this is another quote from Ernest in this thing called you. When you say all things are possible, you're affirming that the power which created the planets is now operating in your affairs, in and through everything you do. So a commonly heard phrase in the Centers for Spiritual Living circles is a world that works for all. Have you heard that before? But the question is, how often do we really look at what it means? Who decides what works? And who do we include in the all? By nature, humans seek meaning, and we create stories to give our lives meaning. Stories help us understand why the world is the way it is and to understand our place in it. Societies and religious traditions have stories about what it would mean to be a good person and about who is valued and who isn't. These stories can change over time, but what remains is that it is the people in power who have the ability to enforce which stories influence cultural society or religious norms. We also learn stories from our families, our educational system, and from popular culture. Part of spiritual growth is to really examine these stories looking for places where our stories lead to separation rather than unity. And it's important to remember that these stories aren't true, but rather they are our interpretations of this reality. The point is not to stop telling stories, but rather to become aware of the stories and determine if they still fit. Lauren Mackler, in Soulmate, Master the Art of Aloneness and Transform Your Life, wrote this. When you're living by default, you're automatically reacting to life in habitual ways, many of which may be limiting you and your life. In contrast, living deliberately means making more conscious and constructive life choices. When you're living deliberately, you're living from a position of responsibility. You're making choices with greater awareness. You're, ta- you're taking yourself off autopilot. I think that's a spelling mistake. You've taken yourself off autopilot. So you're better prepared to align your actions with the results you want to achieve. Sorry about that little typo. Kind of threw me off there for a minute. But when you've taken yourself off autopilot, you're better prepared to align your actions with the results that you want to achieve. So, the first step in becoming aware of our stories is to become mindful of how we objectify and stereotype others. And to do this, we must be willing to get quiet and to pay attention to our first thoughts. First thoughts are the initial thoughts we have when we meet someone, when something happens to us, or when we read an article or watch a TV show. The first thing is generally the most unfiltered thought, and it reflects our hidden beliefs and biases. So once we become aware of these thoughts, we can then work to change them rather than letting them run the show. And this can be an uncomfortable practice. But as spiritual beings, we are called to practice. If we want transformation, we must sit with what is uncomfortable. As Pema Chodron writes, transformation occurs only when we remember, breath by breath, year after year, to move toward our emotional distress without condemning or justifying our experiences. So, as we engage in this practice of awareness of our initial thoughts, it's important to remember our spiritual tools and to remember, as Holmes writes, with a good-natured flexibility with yourself, learn to rise from confusion into peace, from sadness into joy. Turn to the light within. Believe in yourself. Listen deeply to the divine nature, which forever imparts itself to you. So some spiritual tools that we offer and use and practice are positive affirmations, spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, visualization, and gratitude, among others. And of course, if you're interested in knowing more about these, let's have a conversation afterwards about classes. So I'd like to share this little story called The Empty Boat, and it's from the Taoism belief. A Zen master was meditating in a boat on a quiet lake. Suddenly, another boat bumped into his. He opened his eyes, ready to get angry, but saw that the boat was empty, just drifting with the current. The master smiled, realizing that his anger had come from within. If someone had been in the boat, he would have blamed them. But since it was empty, there was no one to be angry at. So the lesson in this little story is that, like the empty boat, most of life's frustrations come from our own reactions. Mindfulness helps us to let go of any unnecessary anger and remain at peace. Paula Reinhardt wrote this: "Life is not a journey you want to make on autopilot." So seeking to free ourselves from hidden beliefs, biases, and stereotypes is a lifelong practice. All of life, in fact, is a practice. There is no end goal, but the more we practice, the more likelihood we have of living a fulfilling life. Mindfulness practice reminds us, as Ram Dass taught, to be here now. Everything we experience in the present moment, and we get to choose what each moment looks like and feels like. And this too is a practice. So letting go of hidden biases and beliefs requires that we no longer live on autopilot. It also means that we might have to let go of what society has taught us. Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Many of us get swept away by events and situations around us, and by whatever we see and hear. We lose ourselves. This is why we must also cultivate freedom from the crowd." When you have real freedom, even if the crowd is shouting or going in one direction, you can still be yourself. You've not, you're not swept away by the emotions of the majority. So how many times in your life have you seen everyone go in one direction and you've chosen to go in another, standing up for what you believe in and finding comfort there and strength? Thich Nhat Hanh wrote this: "Some of us keep a pebble in our pocket. Every time we put our hands in our pocket, we touch the small pebble. We practice mindful breathing, and we feel very peaceful. When anger arises, the pebble becomes the Dharma. The pebble in your pocket serves as your teacher. As your fellow practitioner, it is a bell of mindfulness, allowing you to pause and return to your breathing. The pebble is a kind of rosary. It will allow love to be born in you." And so, as you think about mindfulness and mindful living, pay attention to any resistance that might pop up. This is an invitation to listen deeply to your inner self. Spend some time getting quiet. Turn within and ask yourself these questions: where in my life do I allow biases and prejudices to prevent me from seeing others as they are? And how do my hidden biases prevent me from treating others with loving kindness? Be willing to sit with what arises without judging. If you're thinking right now, "I have done my work, I do not harbor prejudice or biases," then think again. We all carry beliefs, biases, and stories that affect the way that we see others and the way we see every situation. Just sit with it for a moment. And I'll leave you with this final quote: "The mind has a way of wandering. The only way I know of dealing with this meandering creature is to faithfully practice bringing it back home to my heart. And that leads us to our affirmation for the week. I am ever mindful of the ways my life force ripples out into the world. And now it's news and updates for our center. If you're interested in learning more about the Science of Mind teaching, we do offer courses both in person and via Zoom. So connect with me or check our website for under its own drop-down session for classes and courses, and you'll find out all the details. And let me know if there is another specific course or a workshop or even a book study that you would be interested in taking together, and we can plan dates for those as well. And if you would like to have a one-on-one connection for a spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, to assist you with whatever you are experiencing or would like to experience, then please connect with me so we can arrange that. I'd also like you to commit to being a member of the Center for Spiritual Living Puerto Vallarta for this current year. As membership does renew annually, we do need to have an updated list of members. So if you would also like to be on our board of trustees, please contact me and you can be sent the current forms for both membership and board of trustees. I'd also like to remind you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And now is our time for mindful giving and financial support of our spiritual home. We rely on your support to continue our center here in Puerto Vallarta so that we can continue offering this powerful teaching of the science of mind. We bless the financial gifts that you give today. Every donation is greatly appreciated. We also tithe to a local women's shelter to assist women and children that have left an abusive home. And there is also an upcoming event I'd like to put a word out for coming up. I believe it's March 9th, called What a Drag. And it is men in the community that for one night dress up in drag and perform. And all the proceeds for this event also go to assist the women in the women's shelter. So look for that in upcoming events as well. Okay, so donations can be made using either PayPal or Tithely. And you'll find those donate buttons on our landing page, www.cslpv.org, as well as on the page where you find the replays of the weekly talk. Alternatively, you can still send in a paper check by addressing them to CSLPV number 403, 2125 Birch Road, Kelowna, BC. B1Y 8M1. And now, please join me in our offertory affirmation. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I do give eternal thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. So thank you for coming and sharing this time together. Let's continue practicing peace. We can each be a force for peace and nonviolence. Our words and our actions create ripples of peace all around us and beyond. Peaceful living includes acting with compassion, kindness, and consideration, and it also includes standing up against injustice. The season for nonviolence is a global grassroots campaign dedicated to raising awareness about the transformative power of nonviolence. The season was established by Arun Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, as a yearly event celebrating the philosophies and lives of Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr. The season marks the 64 calendar days between the memorial anniversary of the assassination of Gandhi on January 30th, and that of King on April 4th. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wrote this: "Nonviolence is a powerful and just weapon, which cuts without wounding and ennobles the one who wields it. It is a sword that heals." And Mahatma Gandhi said, "A small body of determined spirits, fired by an unquenchable faith in their mission, can alter the course of history." So may peace and love be with you. Blessings to all. Namaste.